You are listening to the South America Brief. I'm Camila Perez, your virtual information influencer, guiding you through market data trends and stories from the vibrant economies of Latin and South America. Hola, and welcome back to the South America Brief. I'm Camila Perez, speaking to you from Mexico City. Today, we're diving into one of the most consequential economic shifts unfolding across Latin America: China's accelerating presence in South America and the profound impact this has on trade, industry, and digital commerce, particularly in Argentina. Let's start with the big picture. China is now one of South America's most important commercial partners, and the pace of engagement continues to rise. In 2024, total China-Latin America trade reached more than $518 billion, and projections suggest this could climb to over $700 billion by 2035. Much of this is driven by strategic commodities: soy, copper, oil, iron ore, and increasingly lithium. In the lithium triangle alone, Chinese companies such as Ganfeng and Tianqi have expanded stakes in assets that sit atop nearly 50% of global reserves. But the nature of China's investments is evolving. Instead of massive Belt and Road megaprojects, Chinese capital is now concentrating on what Beijing calls new infrastructure: energy transition, digital technologies, and the electric mobility value chain. This strategy is visible across the region. In Chile, Chinese firms already control 57% of the national electricity distribution network. In Peru, the new deep-water port of Changsey, majority owned by Costco, will reshape Pacific trade once operational. And in Brazil, Chinese firms invested billions in 2025 alone in autos, renewables, and logistics, securing the country's role as Beijing's regional launchpad. But the most disruptive transformation isn't happening in mining or energy. It's happening in e-commerce. Chinese platforms such as Temu, Shein, and AliExpress have experienced explosive growth across Latin America. In Brazil, Temu surpassed 105 million monthly active users in 2025, an astonishing 143% year-over-year increase. Across the region, Chinese platforms are projected to capture around 13% of Latin America's online retail spending, worth more than $13 billion in annual volume. And Argentina is at the epicenter of this disruption. According to industry data, imports arriving through digital shopping channels into Argentina jumped by more than 4,000 individual product categories in October 2025 alone, contributing to a surge of more than 200% year-on-year in small package imports from China. At the same time, overall imports from China into Argentina rose by 73.9% between January and July 2025, totaling nearly $9.8 billion and generating a bilateral deficit of $5.7 billion for Argentina. This wave of low-cost imports is putting enormous pressure on Mercado Libre, the region's e-commerce leader. Although the company continues to grow, Brazil alone generated $6.41 billion in e-commerce revenue for Mercado Libre from January to September 2025. Competitive pressure has intensified sharply. Chinese sellers on Mercado Libre itself grew at triple-digit rates in 2025, driven partly by U.S. tariffs that pushed many exporters to seek new markets in Latin America. But the real challenge comes from Temu and Shein. These platforms dominate international purchases, capturing more than 60% of cross-border e-commerce flows in some markets. Their ultra-low pricing is destabilizing local sellers, who account for about 90% of marketplace activity on Mercado Libre. As a result, Mercado Libre has publicly urged governments across the region to adopt unified rules for all digital platforms, including tax alignment, import controls, and quality standards. The industrial sector is raising similar alarms. Paulo Roca, chairman of Techint, warned repeatedly in 2025 about a surge in Chinese imports of finished steel and metal goods, threatening the viability of domestic production. Industry groups say imports of Chinese metals into Argentina have grown at double-digit levels, while local output has stagnated or declined. Roca argues that without a level playing field, investment decisions in sectors like mining, steel, and energy, including major projects in Vaca Muerta, could be delayed or derailed. So what does all this mean for South America? It means the region is at a strategic crossroads. On one hand, China offers capital, technology, and access to global supply chains. On the other, the velocity and scale of Chinese exports are overwhelming domestic industries and challenging local digital ecosystems. Governments are beginning to respond. Mexico increased import taxes on low-value packages to up to 33.5%, boosting Mercado Libre sales by 16 to 30% in affected categories. Chile introduced a 19% VAT on low-value international purchases. Uruguay tightened import registration requirements. Argentina, however, is still debating its regulatory stance. As the region weighs its options, businesses like Mercado Libre are investing aggressively, from major logistics expansions, such as new fulfillment centers in Brazil, Chile, and Argentina, to the largest promotional campaigns in their history, including a USD 19 million Black Friday coupon program in 2025, double the size of Amazon's budget. But the underlying tension remains unresolved. If the fastest-growing segment of online commerce is supplied almost entirely through direct imports from China, how do Latin American SMEs survive? How do local industries maintain competitiveness? And how do governments balance consumer affordability with economic resilience? What's clear is that China's expanding footprint in South America is no longer a background trend. It is now one of the defining forces shaping the region's economic future. And as always, we'll be here following the data, telling the stories, and breaking down what these shifts mean for businesses and policymakers. Thank you for joining me today on the South America Brief. I'm Camila Perez. If you'd like a deeper analysis, country-specific breakdowns, or a visual report for your team, just let me know. Until next time, take care and see you soon. For more details, links, and further insights, check out the show notes. By the way, I am 100% AI generated. My voice was created with 11 Labs, and I'm here to bring you curated knowledge with a human touch. This podcast is powered by InfoBroker World, your partner for market intelligence and custom research on Latin America. Until next time, stay informed, stay curious. Hasta luego.